building their own businesses, working for companies in the city. We've got to create a city that's more trained, more educated, that's working and getting done, meeting the needs of the people in Washington, D.C. So yes, you have my commitment.
I think the question really is, how are we going to strengthen the program, given that everyone would agree that it is a valuable commitment. The difference is, if you know the District of Columbia government, you know that there's a difference in the Fire Department Cadet Program and the Metropolitan Police Department Cadet Program. The Fire Department program, as was stated by Steve, is paid for, stated by our Fire Department officials, is paid for out of the Department of Employment Services, where the Metropolitan Police Department comes out of a budget that they have for themselves. And so in going forward, yes, we have to have a commitment to the program, but the solution is that the fire department should have resources available to have their own cadet program. They shouldn't have to depend on the Department of Employment Services, just as the Metropolitan Police Department does. You talk to any fire department person, they've got a big friction and rivalry with the police department. A lot of it's friendly, but the one thing that they always say is we want our program to be as well funded and to have the same type of resources as the police department. And so along with my commitment, that is the plan in which we will make sure it happens. Thank you very much.
The state of emergency in our city for our young people. Too many of our young people are dying. Too many of our young people don't have jobs. Too many of our young people don't have activity. Too many of our young people go to schools and sit in schools where they have falling ceilings, they don't have proper books, and it's time we address the issue. That is the issue here. So my question is, my virtual question is, what are we going to do? What are you going to do immediately as when you are elected mayor? I'm not talking about 2-3 years down the road before you get out of office. Immediately to impact the youth, whether it's education, whether it's jobs, whether it's activities, from every aspect. What are you going to do to make sure the youth are prepared to lead the city of the District of Columbia?
What happens to the summer youth employment program? What happened to summer youth employment?
One of the things that I've already been critiqued on today is the commitment to have a deputy mayor for education. And if you didn't know the way the District of Columbia laws are, you would think that you could just come on in and take over the schools of the District of Columbia or take over any responsibilities of the schools of the District of Columbia on day one. You can't. And so this question is very pointed. What are you going to do on day one? And we've committed on day one for having something that the mayor can already do. A deputy mayor for education who will coordinate all of the youth services already under the control of the mayor and make sure that they are interwoven into our school system. All of these young people behind me go to our school system. They don't all go to recreation centers. They don't all go to libraries. They may not all go to the Department of Employment Services. But if we focus, we can reach them at the schools. We can have longer days. We can make sure that we have counselors in the schools, social workers, people from our juvenile justice areas. This is what we need in the system. It's working in other areas. That is, again, why I'm studying best practices. Go to Miami, go to New York, see how they're extending the day. See how they have parent centers, so they're not only educating children, but educating parents.
What about summer youth employment?
We shouldn't be afraid to go with best practices, but we should also have plans for what we're going to do the very first day that I'm sworn in as mayor of the District of Columbia, appointing a deputy mayor for education. We will do that on day one with your support. Thank you very much.
You've heard my education plan, and I'm not talking about taking over the school systems. I'm talking about working as a partner with the school system, and that will start day one. You can't create a new department in government, a new deputy mayor's department day one either. That takes time. The fact of the matter is, I will continue doing day one what I'm doing right now. Even in the rigors of this race, I have maintained my commitment to chair the board of the Howard University Middle School of Mathematics and Science. So I'm on campus, I'm working with the school, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that we're building a strong school for students of this city to be able to get training, particularly for careers in mathematics and science. So it's good to talk about plans and good to talk about what people intend to do. Again, I ask you, look at the record, look at what I have done. No, I haven't been in office, but I have been working on education and workforce development issues for the last 10 years because as an employer, I know how important they are. And yes, Brother Hogan, you're right. We don't pay enough attention to the youth. And all these plans that people in this race are talking about, they've been on the council. They could have done more all along. But we still not It's still not right. So I tell you, look at somebody who's been getting it done in the background, not in front of the camera. Because just because you're jumping up and down in front of the camera doesn't mean you've been getting something done. Is also piggybacking on the crime issue, but I want to talk about, ask you all about, after the crime emergency bill went into effect, ever since then, we've been still losing our youth. There's blood still running from our young people in the streets. We still have youth who have guns in their hands that the guns in this community outnumber 7 districts. I want to know what you're going to do in terms of looking at trying to get the guns off of the streets and trying to stop the killing. You know, nobody rises to the occasion when our youth are killed out here. You don't see the city council rising to the occasion out here when you got 13-year-olds being killed 2 days after the crime emergency bill. Brad killed down at Pat Patricia Hearn, 17 the other day. We need somebody to make that a state of emergency, that we do something to stop that. Also, we have a church on every corner. Will you embrace the churches and energize these clergy and get them involved in these issues out here infecting human life? We are losing lives, our young people. There is no future for them tomorrow if they continue to get guns, and these guns are trickling down from somewhere. Will somebody begin to look at how the guns are getting in the hands of our young people and how we can look at actually stopping the killing? I don't think 800 police are going to do it. I don't think you got enough money to do it. I think you need to embrace also the church community in this community and across the city to come to the table. Thank you. Here's what I know. The council came back from vacation, from recess, to deal with a quote-unquote crime emergency. And my heart goes out to any family that's touched by street violence. So street violence in Georgetown is a horrible thing. But the other reality is that there are parts of this city that have been under a crime emergency from ever since I moved into this city 20 years ago, when we were in the throes of the crack epidemic in the mid-'80s. So we didn't just get a crime emergency. We've had a crime emergency in certain parts of town for years. It goes back to having leadership that cares enough, not about ego, not about attention, but cares enough to want to really get to the root problem. And the root problem, we can talk about everything else that we want to, but the root issue is investing in our young people and putting into them something positive, something strong, something wholesome, so that they can lead strong, positive, wholesome lives. We have not done that in this city. I have done that in my volunteer life for the past 20 years, and I don't know if people haven't heard, people don't know. You know what? Like the young folks say, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Because I've been there, and the thing of it is, we can talk the talk all we want. You gotta have somebody in that mayor's office who's gonna walk the walk, and that's what Marie Johns has been doing. One last thing, it's a shame how from the Peter Rosenstein sent out an email to a long list of people recently, dredging up this issue with our former mayor Sharon Pratt Kelly. And I think it's shame on Mr. Rosenstein, shame on the Fenty campaign that these kinds of things are going on, because it's an insult to working women everywhere. And I'm sick of it. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. This race is not about the former mayor. This race is about me and these other candidates and who's the best person to lead this city. I ask for your vote, John Speroni.
So the question really refers to the crime bill vote. I think most people have heard that the city council voted on an emergency crime measure recently. But the real story, I think, is in a quote, is in the headline of the Washington Post. It was actually 2 days after. It said, Fenty vote on the crime bill is risky. Okay? So you read the headline, and